Hi guys, this is the Macc Special 415DI. This is a double miter bandsawing machine, horizontal bandsawing machine with the capacity of doing 60 left and 60 right. Simple and easy. As you can see from this part here, these are wings that are applied to the side of the machine. I'll just show you very quickly. These are mounted both left and right to the side of the machine. This will allow you to retain all of the coolant and all of the swarf that's collecting from the cut and run it back into the machine on the inclined slope that's made here. What you have here is a double miter machine, so you have the ability with the release of this handle to slide this vise, if you're cutting a miter on the left hand side, to slide the vise to the right. Once you've positioned your vise, you can lock this off, and you have a lever here which will allow you to swing the head both left and right, and then you lock off. As you can see, everything is at the front of the machine, so the operation of the machine and the functionalities of vise, etc., is all maintained from the front of the machine. The control panel for this particular machine is virtually the same as most MS and DI machines. So what you have here, first of all, is a regulator for your descent. So when your blade is coming down through the material, you regulate the descent using this gauge here. Once you've set this to a particular speed and the head returns back up, you will not have to block this again and obviously try to regulate your speed of descent. Once it is set to this particular point, the blade comes down through the cut and back up to the position. This will memorize the speed of the descent and retain for your next cycle on the press of the start. You have two buttons here. This is a vise open and a vise closed. And you have this small display here giving you the angle that you're achieving from a left and right miter. So if you're pushing this bow to the left, this will go minus up to -60, and then to the right it will be 60 degrees, i.e. the bow to the right hand side. You have a reset button here, so when you initially start the machine, the main isolator will be switched on, the emergency stop is released, and you press the button. This will action the hydraulic tank in the back of the machine. The hydraulic tank allows you to control hydraulically the vise and also the cylinder for raise and lower of the bow. You have a coolant button here, so when you press and hold this button it will light. This will action the coolant, but only functional once you've pressed the start button. So when you press the start button, the cycle has started and it's cutting through the material, the pump will start. When the head returns back to the top position and the blade stops, the coolant will also stop, so you don't have to regulate any other taps of any kind. You have a memory button here, so when you physically lower the machine, and you only have to do this once, and find the bottom point of the blade in the gullet of the bed, you then press and hold the memory button for 10 seconds, and this light will flash 3 times, giving you a bottom position. When you raise the bow just above the material, place the material into the machine, close the vise manually, and press the start button, you can then regulate the speed in which the blade comes down through the material. When the blade comes down through the material, it will get to the bottom point that you've memorized, and it will then raise to the top point just above the material, i.e. initially where you left the blade position prior to pressing the start button. Now if I raise this up even further for larger material and press the start button, wherever it descends through and returns back to is where it was prior to pressing the start button, obviously with the raise and lower of the blade. The emergency stop and a variable speed inverter, so you can dial this in when the machine is running, and you can regulate the speed in which you want the blade to rotate through the band wheels, which is here. You also have a little dial here which will give you a piece counter, so every time the blade goes through the material and returns back, it will count 1. Press the start button, the blade will go down, go back up, 2, and continue in continuous. For every time that you press the start button, the cycle is completed, will appear a number within this screen here. This is the main isolator to obviously control the voltage to the machine. Coming round to this side, To be aware once again that there will be a wing supplied with this machine for the right hand side as well. So there are 2 wings supplied with this machine, which you mount using these 3 cap head screws here. On the bed of the machine, you have a sacrificial plate. So in every 15-degree angle, you will have a slot where the blade will sit inside the gap without cutting the bed. It's inevitable you will have to cut, if it's not a 15-degree increment, into the bed, which isn't a problem. Due to the 3 cap head screws here and here, you can take the sacrificial plate, which stops here, runs through here, and you can replace just this piece of casting. You also have an end stop system here as well, so you would slide the end stop system to whatever measure you desire, and you can have repetitive cuts, i.e. just by pushing the material up to this end stop system, press the start button, the blade comes down, comes back up, you remove the piece that's cut, feed your material through, close the vise, press the start button, and repeat cuts using this system here. We have a circulation of coolant running through the machine, which is this hose here and this hose on the exit point. You can regulate the flow using these taps, front and also back. So this will give you a coolant and lubrication in the entry part of the blade as it's going this direction. And then also this one here will be cleansing the blade and removing any swarf from the teeth, so that on the recirculation of the blade, you have a nice clean blade running into the material again. On this particular machine as well, you also get a wash down gun. So when the coolant pump is running and the machine is running, you can wash all the swarf away, all the way from all the moving parts and areas. This will allow you to keep the area clean, so this vise is able to slide a lot easier because there will be a build-up of material within the machine. You can wash everything down. The coolant will then, and the swarf will then arrive at this area here. You can remove this gauze, but what it will do is it will retain the chips or the swarf on the top of this plate here. The coolant will run through into a tank that's at the back of the machine and recirculate the coolant back through these 2 hoses here. Thanks for watching, guys. This is a special 415 DI. Thanks for watching the video. If you've got any questions, please by all means contact BTH Sales in Canada.